The film starts in 1977, showing a middle-aged man, Igor Polskiev, bringing his dog, Palma, in a basket into the airport. Palma, a female dog, is set to travel by air with her owner. She attentively hears every sound nearby and sniffs everything she encounters. After having his passport checked, Igor moves forward to board the plane with Palma. Just as he is about to enter the plane, the flight attendant asks him for the dog's health papers. Igor starts looking through his pockets to find them, but can't. He begs the flight attendant to let him on the plane because it's urgent. He needs to start his dream job tomorrow. Hearing his situation, the flight attendant tells him to see the airport doctor and get the papers sorted out quickly. Next, Igor goes to see the doctor to have Palma checked for any infections. The doctor looks her over carefully and declines to give the approval certificate because Palma has an infection in her ears. Igor even attempts to bribe the doctor, but the doctor remains steadfast in his decision. Sweaty and bewildered, Igor goes back to the airport terminal. He finds the flight attendant, Nina, and tells her the whole story. He explains that Palma has no one else to care for her and that he is her only caretaker. Seeing the tears in Igor's eyes, Nina consents to let Palma board. Meanwhile, the airport's manager shows up and insists that the dog cannot board without the proper documents. Heartbroken, Igor is forced to leave his dear friend behind. He wheels Palma's cart away from the boarding area and lets her out. He hugs her one last time and apologizes for what he must do. Palma gazes back at him with affection. Soon after, he tosses her favorite ball away, and Palma chases after it. While she's distracted, Igor quickly boards the plane. Palma comes back and sees Igor boarding the plane. She lets the ball drop and starts running towards him. Everyone on the plane sees her chasing after them, but Igor, with reluctance, ignores her. Palma ends up blocking the plane on the runway, causing the pilots to shut off the engine for a few seconds. When she steps aside, they restart it and take off. Palma runs after the plane and watches it disappear into the clouds. Are you new to this channel? Make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell. And before we continue, also like the video. Later, the airport security receives a report about the dog and starts to chase her. Palma evades them and finds Tikhonov, a caretaker at the hangar. She hides under a plane. When the guards ask Tikhonov if he's seen the dog, he lies to see her. The scene switches to a young boy named Kolya, who is peering out of an airplane window. Another passenger, a high-ranking minister named Ivan Lisko, is nervous about takeoffs and landings. Kolya's father, Vyacheslav Lazarev, who is piloting the plane, is concerned about his son and asks a flight attendant if Kolya has fallen asleep. Meanwhile, Tikhonov, who has taken a liking to Palma, gives her some food. Just as she is about to eat, she hears the sound of an airplane and dashes towards the runway. As the pilots prepare to land, they have to stop when they see a dog on the runway. Inside the plane, Lisko is shocked during the aborted landing and feels embarrassed in front of the foreign delegates on board. After the plane safely lands, Lisko immediately berates the airport manager for the mishap. Palma searches the faces of each passenger disembarking from the plane, hoping to find her owner, Igor. Meanwhile, the airport manager becomes infuriated with the dog's presence and orders her immediate removal from the airport. The security team eventually catches Palma and confines her in a bus. Kolya, just getting off the plane, overhears the officers discussing plans to euthanize the dog. Distressed by the thought of the innocent dog being harmed, he decides to intervene. He sneaks onto the bus and releases Palma. Just as the security guards are about to reprimand him, Lazarev intervenes, revealing Kolya is his son. Subsequently, the airport manager confronts pilot Lazarev, criticizing his landing skills and chiding him for his son's actions in freeing the dog. Lazarev explains that he has been under immense stress following his wife's recent death, which has affected his mental state and decision-making capabilities. Upon hearing this, the manager softens, offering Lazarev consolation and informing him that he is close to obtaining his international license. Receiving this news, Lazarev feels somewhat relieved and hopeful. In another place, Palma, carrying a red ball in her mouth, comes back to Tikhonov. He lays out a mat in the shade for her to relax. Later, we see Kolya arriving at a hotel with his father, Lazarev. Kolya, feeling displeased with his dad, decides to sneak away in the night. He makes it to the airport and tries to buy a ticket to his hometown. The airline staff won't sell him one and alerts a security officer to check on the boy's parents. Kolya blends in with a family to sneak onto the plane. The flight attendant discovers his ruse and notifies security. However, Kolya escapes before he's caught and hides in a small shed near the plane. Palma finds him there and starts barking. Just before the security guard spots them, Kolya darts out of the shed and runs off with Palma, who leads him to a secret spot where they spend the night. The following morning, Lazarev notices his son is gone and begins to panic. Just as he's about to report him missing to the police, Tikhonov calls to say his son is safe. Lazarev hurries to the airport and finds his son asleep next to Palma. He tries to forcefully take Kolya home, but Palma steps in and keeps them apart. She barks at Lazarev, and Tikhonov then tells him to catch his flight and promises to look after Kolya. After Lazarev leaves, Tikhonov makes some food for Kolya and cautions him about the dangers of hiding in plain cabins. Then, air hostess Nina, who is Tikhonov's daughter, shows up and chides her father for drinking coffee, which is bad for him. While they talk, Palma dashes toward the runway where a new plane has just landed. Kolya joins her as she watches the passengers disembark, searching for her owner. He stands next to her, telling her he feels just as alone as she does since his mother left him for good. The next morning, seeing Palma's sorry state, Kolya tries to obtain Igor's address from the ticket counter at the airport. However, the woman at the counter denies him the information, citing confidentiality. Meanwhile, Palma spots a man resembling Igor near a landing airplane and follows him into the terminal. But security soon notices her. Despite this, she makes it inside only to realize the man is not Igor. The security guards, ready with a net, nearly capture her, but Kolya creates a timely distraction, allowing Palma to slip away. Their chase causes considerable chaos and damage within the terminal, but Kolya and Palma find a hiding spot. The woman from the ticket counter later comes to them, gives them Igor's address, and shows them a way to escape from the terminal. In the following scene, the airport manager confronts Lazarev, furious about the destruction caused by Palma and his son. She offers him a deal: help capture Palma, and his international flying license will be approved. Lazarev agrees to the scheme and goes to where Palma and Kolya are hiding, with dog catchers in tow. Nina and Tikhana are also there, attempting to prevent Palma's capture, but they are unsuccessful, and Palma is taken away in a van. Kolya watches, heartbroken as Palma is driven off. Later, Nina hands Lazarev a letter Kolya had written to Igor. That night, Lazarev reads the letter, in which Kolya pleads with Igor to take back his faithful friend, Palma, mentioning that the hardest times in life are when loved ones leave. Moved by the letter, Lazarev is then startled to see Kolya sneaking out. Realizing his son is off to rescue Palma, Lazarev decides to assist him. They both arrive at the dog shelter and, to their surprise, find Nina already there. They learn that Palma has escaped from custody. Kolya then leads them to the airport, believing they might find Palma there. At the airport, Kolya waits by a recently landed airplane, scanning for Palma, but to his dismay, she isn't there. Soon after, he spots her darting toward the airplane, eager to see the passengers as they disembark. Seeing this, Lazarev knows he needs to intervene to help the troubled dog. The following day, Lazarev contacts a journalist who takes a photo of Palma and features her story prominently on the front page of the newspaper. This action infuriates the airport manager, who scolds Lazarev and tells him that he has now forfeited any chance of obtaining an international license. Just then, the manager gets a call from a minister who sees an opportunity to capitalize on Palma's story to gain public favor. He commends Lazarev for his efforts and grants him the international license he had been denied. Following the news, Palma becomes a popular figure among visitors at the airport. As time went by, Palma kept searching for her owner, Igor, at the airport. Even after a year, she hadn't found him. Meanwhile, Lazarev and Kolya were growing closer. The minister directed the airport staff to build an enclosure for Palma right next to the runway. Kolya was upset because he felt the minister was exploiting Palma's situation. Eventually, Palma stopped eating, and a vet determined she was depressed and wouldn't recover until she reunited with Igor. One rainy night, Kolya saw Palma outside in the rain looking miserable. He tried to bring her inside, but she wouldn't come. Frustrated and feeling abandoned, Kolya told her that everyone he cared about left him, first his mother, and now Palma. He then took off his jacket and covered her with it to keep her warm, and they spent the night outside together in the rain. The next morning, Palma seemed much happier and more energetic than before, which delighted Kolya. He decided to take her home. At home, Lazarev received a call informing him that Igor had come to reclaim Palma. He took Kolya and Palma to the airport. Kolya didn't want to let Palma go because he had grown so attached to her, but Lazarev explained that Palma belonged to someone else and that if Kolya truly loved her, he needed to let her go. Reluctantly, Kolya agreed. When they arrived, they saw the minister had arranged for the press to cover Igor's return, trying to garner sympathy for himself. Igor approached Palma for a reunion, but she seemed less enthusiastic than expected. Kolya handed Igor Palma's collar and left with a heavy heart and tears in his eyes. Seeing his son so distressed, Lazarev tries to reason with Igor, offering him a substantial sum of money to leave Palma behind. Igor then confesses that he doesn't actually want to take Palma back, but feels forced to do so by the minister, who has threatened to fire him if he doesn't comply. In the subsequent scene, Igor attempts to lead Palma away, but she resists and tries to escape. only to be caught by security guards who forcefully load her onto the plane. Meanwhile, Lazarev, who is supposed to pilot that very plane, refuses to take off at the last minute. The airport manager warns him that his decision could cost him his pilot's license, but Lazarev stands his ground and steps off the plane, forcing the manager to find a replacement pilot. During this commotion, an air hostess approaches Igor requesting Palma's medical report for her to be allowed on the flight. Igor admits he has no such documents. Frustrated, the minister presses the manager to let the plane depart immediately, but she insists that regulations must be adhered to and without the medical report. Palma cannot fly. Realizing the situation, Igor decides to let Palma go, telling the minister he may have misidentified the dog. In the final scene, we see Palma running from the plane towards Kolya, who is waiting for her outside. They reunite with a joyful embrace, both clearly delighted to be together again. So, that was all for this video. If you enjoyed it, give us a like, and don't forget to subscribe and hit the notification bell to be the first to see our new videos. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next one.